Today's episode is brought to you in part by Profile, a new film from Focus Features. Directed by Timur Bekmambetov. Profile follows an undercover British journalist in her quest to bait and expose a terrorist recruiter through social media, while trying not to be sucked in by her recruiter and lured into becoming a militant extremist herself. The unconventional thriller plays out entirely on a computer screen in the Screen Life format, pioneered by Bekmambetov. Don't miss Profile. In theaters May 14th.
If we go to page 11 in the presentation, you'll see that... You'll see we're on target to meet our quarterly...
Some things never change, like nobody can resist popping plastic bubbles. And Geico saving folks lots of money on their car insurance.
As I was saying, we're on target to meet... Excuse me, Miss Hansen.
Sorry, almost done.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Hi everyone, my name is Tanya and I am the host of a new podcast called Kaleidoscope of Crime, a Canadian true crime podcast where I jump on my soapbox and rant about all things Canadian true crime. If you like a podcast with a few swear words and a lot of opinions, then come on over and listen to Kaleidoscope of Crime, available on Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, and more. Hope to see you there.
Hi, I'm Laura.
And I'm Joe.
And this is Crime Divers.
Welcome back.
Hello.
Here we are, back for another episode.
Yeah, we love an episode. What delightful crime have you got for us today? What's it called?
It is called The Smiling Killer.
Oh.
And I'll tell you the reason for that right at the end. There's a reason why he was named. I didn't name him that. He was named that.
The Smiling Killer.
Yeah.
Oh, I've just got this picture in my head of like a Joker type guy.
No, that's nothing like it.
Oh, okay.
You're thinking wrong.
Alright, my thought process is wrong.
Yeah.
Okay. So where in the world is it?
We are in England.
Ooh, England.
Yeah, Merseyside.
Oh, right, okay. We haven't been here for a while.
Nope, so...
Let's dive in?
Yeah, I was just going to say, should we just dive in then?
Let's go.
Okay, so Lynsey Wilson was born in 1977 and she was the youngest daughter of 6 kids. She lived in Southport, which is in Merseyside, England. Mm-hmm. So in February 1995, Lynsey was 17 and she found out she was pregnant by her first serious boyfriend and they got engaged.
Mm-hmm.
But then Lynsey, she had second thoughts and she broke off the engagement. Mm-hmm. So she was 5 months pregnant and living alone. But then she met a guy called Lynsey Quy, I think that's how you pronounce it,
right,
who was 20.
Mm-hmm.
He said the first thing that he was drawn to was her smile. That's got nothing to do with the Smiling Killer, by the way. I just realised that when I read it and I thought, she's going to think,
yeah,
you're going to
put to do that.
2 together and come up with 5.
Yeah, it's not that.
No,
right, okay.
Just that she has a nice smile.
Right, okay.
And he fell for her straight away, and from that night on, they were never apart. A week later, they were engaged,
mm-hmm.
and about a week after that, the wedding was organised, and then they got married 5 weeks after they met.
Like, they're not. In my opinion, that's too much, too soon, too young, like, to do something that quickly. I mean...
Yeah, I know, I get that people do it. Some people do get married really fast.
Mm-hmm.
But I find 5 weeks, in my opinion, I don't see how you can get to know somebody really that well in 5 weeks.
Sometimes you can not find stuff out about a person, like, months, even years down the line.
Years later, yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's probably still stuff now that, you know, me and my husband have been together for 20 years. And there'll still be stuff that it'll be, you know, that I'll tell him or he'll tell me that we don't know about each other, you know.
I just think that's awfully quick, especially at such a young age as well.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, they are young, they're still
I mean, she's 17.
Well, exactly.
And he's 20.
She's
so
still like, they're still kids,
Yeah,
really. I mean,
of
they're in very, very early adulthood. Well, I mean, she's 17, so she's not in technical class as an adult.
they're not fully matured. And
Oh, and I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
no, I just think
it's a
that's
big,
too much.
it's a big thing, in our opinion.
Well, in our opinion.
And it does work.
Yeah,
It does
I'm not
work for
saying
some
it doesn't.
people.
I mean, I'm sure there's people.
My in-laws, when they got married, my mother-in-law was 17.
Oh, really?
And they were married for I don't know how long they were married for, but I mean, like now, I mean, she's gone now, but my father-in-law, he's 80 now.
Yeah.
So they were together for
A long
a long,
time.
long. I mean, they must have been together for 50 odd years.
Yeah,
So
I know.
yeah.
I mean, it
does
does
work.
work. It
Yeah.
does work. Yes, I agree.
So, but anyway, not in this case,
No.
as we're gonna find
As
out.
we're gonna find out.
Yeah. So they got married on the 1st of August 1995. Mitchell had no family at the wedding except for his younger brother Elliot. And Lynsey's dad said that Lynsey got married on the rebound. He reckons that she was on the rebound, because obviously she
Right.
got pregnant,
Yeah.
with the other guy and being engaged to him, and then,
Oh, but still.
5 weeks after meeting this guy, they're
Yeah.
married. So, that's what her dad said. So
Right.
she was on the rebound.
Mhm.
And even on the wedding day, there was a big argument between Lynsey and Mitchell at the end of the night. So he said that was maybe a sign of things to come.
Yeah.
So they moved into their first home together, but quickly Lynsey realised that she didn't really know this guy very well at all.
Uh-huh.
So you're right, yeah?
Yeah.
So right after she gave birth to a little girl called Robin, so after that the marriage started to go downhill. Mitchell would have violent outbursts and he would physically abuse Lynsey. And just a year later she became pregnant with Mitchell's baby.
Mhm.
She didn't want to bring a baby into an unstable home though, so she had a termination.
Right. Okay.
But Mitchell was furious and he beat her up.
Right.
So she got an injunction against him and he moved out.
Mhm.
But after 5 months, she took him back. When they first got back together, all was good and they were getting on really well. And Lynsey wanted a baby and she fell pregnant pretty quick.
Right.
But one night, when she was 4 months pregnant, Mitchell had a really violent outburst. Luckily, she wasn't at home at the time, but when she got in, the house was in the right state. There was like broken glass everywhere. There was doors hanging off the hinges. There was blood on the walls. He'd obviously just
Wait,
had
mad.
this, and just beat up the house basically.
What could possibly make you go so mad that you
Well,
would do that?
I don't know. Like as I've said, I don't know what his problem was, but he obviously took his anger out on the house. So I don't know what he was at. He obviously got angry about something.
Well, must have been rigid.
Beat the house up, basically.
Poor house.
I know. So they got evicted. Surprise, surprise.
Mhm.
They stayed together, and their son Jack was born in October 1977. Is that 1977? No.
No, she was born in
Yeah,
1977.
1997. So things were okay for a while, but then Mitchell walked out in April the next year, and he wanted a divorce.
Right.
So Lynsey was so scared of Mitchell by this point that she was given a personal attack alarm, and Women's Aid, they helped her find a new home because she didn't want him to know where she was.
Yeah.
And she started making a new life for herself and the kids.
Mhm.
But by the summer of that year, Mitchell wanted to see her again.
Yeah.
So he used Jack, their son, it was going to be his first birthday in the October.
Right.
So he kind of used him as an excuse to sort of see her and,
Yeah,
get back in her good books.
Yeah.
And also, because obviously he wanted to see his kids.
Uh-huh.
So she took him back. But within weeks, she knew that she'd made a terrible mistake.
Well, like how? Oh.
It's a cycle of
It
abuse,
is,
isn't
isn't
it?
it?
It's
It
like
is.
it's you just see it so often. But
I feel so sorry for these women that end up like that, because I know at the time, I mean, they must be so lost in this relationship and the abuse and stuff that.
And they feel there's no way out.
Yeah.
They do. I mean,
and the fact that he maybe shows her a slight interest or a slight bit of affection, she probably is like, oh my god, grabs
she
it,
clings onto it.
yeah, and then quickly maybe it lasts for not very long, and then he starts being his normal self again, and I know it's easy for an outsider to say, oh my god, why did you just walk away? Why did you take him back? But
that's the thing, though. That actually annoys me when people say that, because they're like, you don't know their situation.
No,
you
exactly.
don't know why they didn't leave or why they couldn't leave. Like,
I know, because that's why I'm frustrated for her, because I'm like that she's got herself into that situation that more than one time she's felt like she wants to take him back for whatever reason, and then she's regretting it weeks down the line. It's like you want her to learn. No, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I get that, but like you know.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I don't know what to say to that.
Unless you're in that situation, I mean, it's
yeah. I mean, like we haven't been in that situation, but we know of so many people who have been in that situation, or you read stories about people who are in that situation. Everybody's situation is different, and there is reasons for why they feel like they can't leave, or they don't want to leave, or they can't. You know.
Yeah, I know, totally.
So she took him back, but things just went back to the way they had been before. Nothing had changed.
Yeah.
So Lynsey decided she wanted a divorce, and she went to see a solicitor, but Mitchell didn't know anything about it.
So he'd wanted a divorce before.
Yeah, but he came back. He obviously didn't.
They didn't go through the divorce,
no,
right?
he just wanted one, but this time she actually went to a solicitor, without telling him.
Right.
So it said that he was sleeping with other people while they were married as well, and even when he was under suspicion for murder, spoiler alert, he was still sleeping about.
Right. Okay.
So. He said, in his words, when you get offered it on a plate, you take it. Nice. Even when you're married and you get offered it on a plate, you take it.
Oh, you know, because that's the whole point. You get married, you're devoting yourself to one person.
And he probably wasn't getting it offered on a plate.
Well, probably.
Never mind.
I know. I think they probably exaggerate it.
I'm sorry, but no. He said that one woman said to him, because obviously, as I've said, spoiler alert, about murder. So he said that one woman said to him that she didn't care if he had murdered his wife, and that it turned her on, not knowing if he did it or not. But suddenly he found morals and kicked her out. So I'm like, yeah, I think that's just him talking shit, because he's an absolute fucking arsehole. Can I just say?
Okay.
Anyway, so we'll get on to what my spoiler was about.
Yes.
So on Christmas Day 1998. Mitchell claimed that Lynsey had walked out and abandoned him and her 2 children.
Right.
I mean, on Christmas Day, come on.
Oh,
what kind of mother would do that?
She's not going to leave the kids.
No.
She was going to walk out, she'd be taking the kids with her.
Yeah, and judging on the kind of mother that she is as well, she's not going to, even if she was going to walk out her kids, she's not going to do it on Christmas Day, and no. But in fact, Mitchell had killed her, and he was using the image of an abandoned father for public sympathy. He was telling everybody that Lynsey was still alive. And so he was making himself out to be, as I said, the abandoned father. Like, she's
walked out
the next time she's walked out. She's abandoned me and her children. Like on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
Who does that? Like making her out to be the villain.
Yeah.
But Lynsey's family knew that he was lying. Like as I said, she was the youngest of 6 kids, and they didn't have like a particularly close family, but they still all
close enough to know that.
Yeah, to know each other and to keep in contact with each other. They just weren't that close.
Aye.
But they knew their daughter, their sister, and they knew that there's no way would she ever abandoned her children. There's just no way.
No. So
Mitchell was asked in an interview what happened that Christmas Day. So he said that Lynsey had been out the night before with her mates, and she was hungover on Christmas Day. So she got up, had a shower, got herself sorted, and left. Like, it's Christmas Day.
Come on.
And I'm sure he said that she got up at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon or something. No, your children are going to be jumping on you.
Exactly.
And saying Santa's been and getting you out of bed. Like, hungover or not, you'll have to get up and, for your kids.
I would have thought so.
Well, yeah.
I mean, obviously, again,
but we know that's not the key. He was lying.
Yeah, we know he was lying. Yeah.
So he was then asked if he had just made that story up, and he replied, quote, "Well, one day everyone's going to find out, aren't they? I haven't done anything to Lynsey. I'm not capable of doing something like that. But like I say, I'm not going to sit here and start saying yes or no to stupid questions. Questions I've already answered 1,000 times." And the interviewer said, "Can I just say again, and it's not a stupid question, it's a very serious question, did you kill Lynsey?" And Mitchell's reply was, quote, "Wait and find out." With a smirk on his face. He actually had this big smirk on his face.
Is that why he's a smiling killer?
Because I just wanted to punch his face in.
Have you seen this? Like,
yeah, this was I've seen the interview that he was getting interviewed in.
Right. Okay.
So I saw that interview because what must have happened was, because I watched the documentary. So I'm kind of confused as to how this documentary was made, because right from the start, the interviewers, the people who made the documentary, knew that he had killed her.
Right, okay.
But yet, he's denying it all the way through this documentary. And then obviously at the end, like, he's confessing. So I'm kind of confused as to what, unless the documentary...
Well, it must be made afterwards, was it? And then...
Well, yeah, obviously, because he...
Well, yeah.
You'll find that out, but, like... What I'm saying... in the time that it was being filmed, then they mustn't have known that he killed her because he hadn't confessed it, and he confessed it later on.
Oh, right, okay.
So, but it was like in real time, you know. So it was kind of a bit weird because he's telling you on camera that he did not do it.
Right, okay.
So he must have been getting interviewed about what had happened to his wife.
Yeah.
But then as the filming went on, then he must have been arrested and that later on.
Right, okay.
I don't know.
I might have to watch this.
Yeah. Don't know what it's called.
That's really helpful.
I know. Not a very good podcast drama.
Oh, you think you'd write it down?
You could go on YouTube and type in her name.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Find it.
Don't ever ask Jill for information because she can't give you it.
Shut up. So Mitchell even said in answer to Lynsey's dad accusing him, like, because Lynsey's dad was accusing him of murdering Lynsey, and he said, Mitchell said, quote, "One day he will be on my doorstep apologising." That's how confident he was
That he wasn't going to...
that he was going to get away with it. I tell you now, if you watch anything that's to do with him, you will want to punch his lights out. He's got such a smug, smirking face. Ugh. And he was absolutely sure that he was getting away with this.
Yeah.
So, for almost a year, Merseyside police had been searching and digging, but they found nothing. No body and no evidence of foul play.
Right.
Without a body, they had an almost impossible task of proving that Lynsey wasn't just missing, but was actually dead. Mm-hmm. But in January 2000, Mitchell decided that he'd had enough of being in the media.
Right.
So he stopped answering that he hadn't killed his wife, and he said he was leaving it up to the police to figure it
out. Alright, okay.
So the police were interviewing everyone who knew Mitchell, obviously.
Yeah.
Including, like, past girlfriends, people he slept with.
Yeah.
And he said, quote, "I know they are clutching at straws, but what, do you think I shagged her to death or something?" End quote. And he was laughing while he was saying that. He was like, "What, do you think I actually shagged her to death?" And it's like, oh my god!
He just sounds like a right cocky little
kid. I've never hated anybody so much that I don't know, just by looking at his face.
Just got one of those faces.
You just want to punch it. So Lynsey was last seen alive on the 15th of December 1998, but she wasn't reported missing until the 5th of February 1999.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah, and that was by a social worker.
Oh.
As she hadn't been seen for 53 days. So Mitchell hadn't even told her family that she had gone. Like, I'm sorry, if your wife has walked out, surely you would tell your family.
So I think that when you say that they obviously weren't that close, then obviously they must have went times without...
They must have.
It
like,
wasn't a big deal, yeah.
Yeah. But he was asked why he didn't tell them, and he said that Lynsey's family were the last people that I would contact.
Alright.
And he said, why would I contact Lynsey's family? We don't like each other. And it's like, but if your wife's walked out and left your 2 children with you, I think I would be phoning the family, because I'd be like, hey, do you know where she is? Because she's walked out on me and abandoned the children. And the children are asking me questions.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe I need help as well.
Yeah.
Like, can you help me look after them? Or whatever, if you're... I don't know if it was... Well, probably doesn't sound like somebody that works or whatever, but...
Well, I don't know. I don't know if he did.
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't matter if you don't particularly get on with them or not.
They've got a right to know that she's... Whether she's walked out or not, they've still got a right to know.
Obviously he didn't.
No. But Mitchell claimed that Lynsey was still alive and that he had seen her a couple of times.
What?
So he said that he'd seen her at the indoor market.
Right.
And apparently she walked past him and called him a wanker. And he'd also seen her in the passenger seat of a black Mercedes. But people were sceptical of this because they're like, well, okay, you've seen her, but why has nobody else seen her? She's been in the market, like an indoor market, where everybody knows everybody else, and she's been wandering about and calling him a wanker, and then, you know, like, if she's been spotted by him...
I mean, obviously, I'm assuming they never said whether the kids were with them, but they might have been, so they would have been like, oh, mummy, you know...
And you, like, what kind of person would just, like, ignore their kids?
Exactly.
Like, you know, as I said, like, there is circumstances where that might happen, but she was a loving mother. She adored her kids. Like, there's no
way.
No.
No.
So... The police didn't believe him, obviously.
Well, I wouldn't believe him, to be quite honest. No.
So they were convinced that Mitchell had murdered Lynsey. So he was arrested on the 27th of February 1999 on suspicion of murder, incitement to cause grievous bodily harm and fraud. He willingly admitted the fraud because what he'd done, he'd been forging Lynsey's signature on benefit books after she'd went missing.
Yeah.
But he said, well, I was entitled to that. It was just because it wasn't in my name. Because it was like income support or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Which, I don't know if you're... Well, maybe the kids are entitled to that. I'm not so sure about you, but maybe the kids...
Yeah, I would...
But anyway, like... But why didn't you just go to the benefit place and say, my wife's walked out, so it's me that's going to be claiming the benefit now?
Yeah, for
you
the
know
kids,
what I mean? Yeah, for the kids. So, anyway. So he said nothing about the other charges, and they were dropped due to lack of evidence.
Right.
But he was convicted of the fraud, and he was sentenced to community service. So he was working in a charity shop for his community service, and he was filmed doing this as well.
Right.
And he said on camera, for me having to do this and for leaving the kids, I wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. Like, you know that you've killed your wife.
Yeah.
And you're speaking about her like that.
Well,
like,
that just shows you what kind of person he is, really.
Yeah, and as I said, like, he was so confident that he was convincing everybody that she'd walked out on him. So because he hadn't been charged with Lynsey's murder, local people did actually start to think that maybe he was innocent and that Lynsey had just walked out on him.
Yeah.
And like even Mitchell's best friend totally believed that he hadn't done it.
Oh, right, okay.
He said that he thought that she'd just ran away.
Right.
He said it was the police's job, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days of the year to catch criminals. It's Mitchell's job to look after his family. And if they had one shred of evidence, then he wouldn't be sat here with me now. That's basically what he said. And Mitchell said that every time they started a new search, Jeff Sloan, he was the senior investigating officer, so he'd be on the TV or in the newspaper saying, like, we're confident we're going to find something every time there's a new search.
Yeah.
So Mitchell bought him some Just For Men hair dye and saying, I just thought he might like a change of colour and it might improve his confidence a bit. Yeah, he just thought he was being funny, but he just came across as like an absolute knob.
It does sound like a bit of a knob.
Why would you send the police officer
hair dye?
Hair dye.
Yeah, it's a bit random.
And it's like, even if he was innocent, which he's making out to be, this Jeff is a senior police officer trying to find your wife, and you're acting like that. What an absolute wanker.
Yeah, but it sounds like he's a bit not right in the head.
No, he's just a freaking narcissistic freaking... I'm doing lots of swearing in this episode, and I do apologise if anybody's offended by it, because obviously we don't usually swear that much in our episodes, do we? But sometimes...
It depends what it is.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to, and this guy really wound me up. So, by January 2000, the police stopped looking for Lynsey, but her dad never gave up. Like, every spare moment was used searching for her. Him and his family would be they'd be searching ditches, canals, woods. They spent hours and hours digging, like wading through like stinky water and just like
just for anything
and everything they were doing. But Mitchell, he decided to go on the offensive against the police, and he invited a journalist to the house.
Right. Okay.
This is the guy that had been sick of being in the media, by the way. You know.
Right enough.
So the headline in the paper read, "Missing Mum, Husband to Sue." So he was going to sue.
Oh, for God's sake.
So he was complaining about being arrested when there was no evidence, and about how he was being treated when he was in custody.
Yeah.
So he told the journalist that he wouldn't stop until he either got an apology or he got compensated. So I think he was just looking for money.
Sounds like
because he thought he deserved it, as he had been branded a murderer by them. He said, quote, "I've got to the point now, with the more pressure they put on me, the stronger I'm getting and more determined I am to find Lynsey and sue the balls off the police." End quote. Like, who does this guy think he is? So, for 16 months, Mitchell was a prime suspect in Lynsey's murder, and he thought he'd gotten away with it, obviously, by everything that he's been saying.
Yeah, he thinks he's getting away with it, totally.
But the police, they knew that Lynsey hadn't been alive after the 15th of December 1999. And they also knew that Mitchell was just lying about what happened at Christmas, obviously. So, on the 7th of June 2000, at 8 a.m, Mitchell was arrested on suspicion of murder. He was taken in for questioning, and for 2 days he refused to say anything. But late in the evening of the 8th of June, he was charged with murder. 1 hour later, he confessed, and once he started talking, he didn't stop, and he told the police everything. So he also didn't do very well under pressure.
No.
Because, like, here's this guy for 16 months that's been like, nah, you know,
Yeah.
acting like the way he's been acting, and then he's as soon as he's getting questioned by the police, he cracked.
Yeah, totally.
Aye.
Uh-huh.
Big guy, yeah.
So I think he hadn't been really been questioned before this properly, had he?
He'd
Well, he obviously did.
been questioned, but he hadn't been charged with murder. He'd
Aye.
been,
So now the pressure was really on him.
yeah, because he'd been arrested on suspicion.
Yeah,
But now
okay.
he'd actually been charged with it.
Aye.
So obviously he was like,
Well, the game's up, sort of
aye.
thing.
So not only did he admit to killing Lynsey, he also told them where parts of her body was. So obviously that's when the police realised that he had cut her up. So the following day, Mitchell went with the police to show them where Lynsey's remains were.
Mm-hmm.
He actually asked if the press were there because he was keen to be seen on camera.
Really?
This was in this documentary as well.
Right.
Like, so we actually do see him showing the police where the
Yeah.
body parts are.
Uh-huh.
And he was laughing and joking and showed no remorse whatsoever. I mean, come on. You're pointing out
What an arsehole.
the remains of your wife that you murdered and cut up, and you're laughing and joking with the police officers, and the police officers were probably like,
This is-
shut the fuck
exactly.
up. Like,
So inappropriate.
oh, I don't think I'd be able to if I was one of the police officers, I don't think I could cope with that. I think I would smack him one. So what had happened was that on the 16th of December 1998, Lynsey had arranged a solicitor's appointment to finalise the divorce
Right.
to get Mitchell out of her home for good. So she was actually serious about it this time.
Uh-huh.
And this is when she told him about it. And he flew into a rage. He flew into a rage and he strangled her in the early hours of that morning. So he then cut up Lynsey's body in the bath. He cut off her legs, her head and her arms and wrapped them in cloth and bags.
Right.
Then when he was out with the children, with the help of his brother, they dumped the body parts in different places. So he was actually out with his children.
Oh, that's awful.
Like, one of the
Oh.
places was like next to a theme park.
Right.
So I don't know if he actually I don't know if he maybe
Took the kids
took the kids to the theme park and thought, oh well, I'll dump the body that part of the body while
That's
we're there.
awful.
That, I mean, I know the kids wouldn't have known
I know.
what was happening, but just
I thought of that.
the thought of those kids in the car being maybe happy and excited about going out for the day or whatever, if that was what the case was.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, that must have been in the boot, like, whatever body
Oh.
part was. You know,
That's really. I mean, it's
this guy is
obviously-
a arsehole. Like, well, that's not even the word for it. He's a
No,
monster.
totally.
But unfortunately, Mitchell put Lynsey's head and hands in a bin bag and put it out for the bin collection.
Oh, so that's
So
Never
they're
found.
never going to be found.
no.
But makes you wonder though. But imagine being a bin man and like the things that you didn't realise that you're putting out in the bin
That
lorry.
you could find, I know.
And well, exactly. I mean, like, you know, these bin men have disposed of this stuff. But imagine if the bag opened or something like that. And
Horrible.
have you seen my bin? The writing on it.
Your bin?
Yeah.
No.
My green wheelie bin.
Why would I have looked at
Well,
your bin?
last week when we put the bin out, it was full.
Uh-huh.
And my daughter, obviously, like, because I'd kind of pushed it down and the lid was starting to open a wee bit. But obviously in the morning of the bin collection, she'd also put more in it and just left the bin, the lid open.
Uh-huh.
So John got a text the next day saying check your bin because one of his friends is a bin man.
Right.
So written in permanent marker on my bin is please close your lid and then love you. So that's how I've got written on my lid.
Lovely.
Yeah. I was like, okay,
Like
please
on the
close
top of
lid.
your lid or the inside of your
On
lid?
the on the top of the
On the top of
yeah.
I bet that was funny, didn't it?
So I was like, great. So we've got John's friend declaring his love for him on my bin.
Lovely.
Anyway,
Yeah, I know, we get back to seriousness.
it just reminded me of that. So after 18 months, the family's search was finally over. And as they all knew, Lynsey would never left her children.
No.
And they knew that all along, but this just obviously confirmed
Well,
it.
of course, yeah.
They knew that she would never have done that.
No.
So in 2001, Mitchell Quy was convicted of murdering Lynsey and was sentenced to life in prison. His brother Elliot was sentenced to 7 years for assisting him in the disposal of her body.
Yeah.
Quite right as well.
Absolutely.
I mean, you're my sister. If you phoned me and said, right, I've killed Justin, I've cut up his body, can you come and help me get rid of the parts? I'd be like, get to fuck, I'm going to phone the police.
Exactly.
You're my sister, I love you, but no.
No, I'm not getting involved.
I'm not getting involved with that.
No.
Not a chance.
I would be exactly the same as you. I'd be like, no, sorry, like, I love you, but you've committed a horrific crime. You're going to have to go and do the time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
There was no reason to kill him. You could have just divorced him.
Exactly.
So I'm not.
Nah.
No
Thanks.
I'm not doing any time for nobody.
No, me neither. We're good people.
Yes, she got 7 years. So Mitchell has twice been denied parole and is still behind bars in a Category A prison.
Right.
3 months after Mitchell was jailed, one of Lynsey's older brothers took his own life.
Oh.
So Peter Wilson was 24 and he hung himself in the loft of the family home.
Oh.
How sad is that?
Do you think that was in relation to Lynsey, or was
Yeah,
that...
well, because there was a statement read out at the inquest. His dad said, quote, I recall him saying, there's no point in living, I may as well join Lynsey, end quote.
Oh.
And Mr. Wilson told the press afterwards, quote, I blame Mitchell Quy and the Quy family for Peter's death. Mitchell Quy has already tried to kill himself in prison. All I can hope now is that he tries again and succeeds.
But see, I wouldn't want him to, because I want him to suffer in prison.
Yeah.
I mean, to die and just ends it all for him, doesn't it? It ends his punishment, because he just, I mean, alright, yes, he's dead, but that's a coward's way out for me.
Yeah, I know, I kind of feel like that.
I would prefer him to be, no, you serve your time in there.
Yeah, so, and the reason why this episode is called The Smiling Killer is because this arsehole pretty much had a smile on his face for 18 months while the police were searching for his wife. He was such a cocky arsehole that he thought he had gotten away with murder.
What? Don't like him.
I think you should watch that documentary.
Yeah, I feel like I want to now.
Yeah, because that's sort of where I took all like the quotes and that from, because you see him getting asked questions and stuff.
Yeah.
And like, but I mean, you know, like right from the documentary tells you right from the start that he killed his wife. So you know, so it's not like you're like, oh, this guy's innocent. What a shame! Like he's getting maybe he's getting framed, or you know, like
yeah.
And then you're like, oh, what the hell? But no, it's like you know right from the start that he has killed his wife. So I think that makes it more.
You can't believe what he's actually saying and doing. Yeah. So I have to watch it. Yeah.
So he, as I said, he definitely did it, and he thought he got away with murder, but luckily,
thankfully.
Yeah, Lynsey got
justice was served. Yeah. What a shame on those 2 kids, though.
I know.
I mean, obviously, a shame for Lynsey, of course.
It was weird though, because like Lynsey, you know, obviously Lynsey had the little girl Robin, who wasn't Mitchell's kid. The dad mustn't have been in the picture, because Mitchell was still bringing up the 2 children. Like after she'd left, he still had them. But it was weird because what he kept saying was, like, what would I say? What did I tell Robin? Like about her mum, like about what happened, like that she just walked out. But I'm thinking, but what about your son? Like, why are you not worried about what he would say? No, but it's like when she got as they got older and stuff. Like,
I was going to say maybe at the time he was too young to understand.
Yeah, at the time he was, because I think he was. I think if I recall rightly, I think he was still on nappies. So I mean, he's still young, but yeah, it was. He kept worrying about what he would say to Robin, and it's like, well, I don't know.
Who knows? Anyway, well, thanks for that.
So he's a twat.
Yeah. Thanks for that one.
No, you're welcome. So if you would like to follow us on social media, we're on Instagram and Twitter.
Crime_divers_pod.
We have a Facebook page.
Crime Divers Podcast.
You can email us at
crime_divers_pod @outlook.com.
We have a YouTube channel.
Crime Divers Podcast.
TikTok.
Crime Divers, I think.
Crime Divers Podcast, I think.
Yeah, okay.
Something to do with Crime Divers anyway.
Okay.
Obviously.
Yeah, okay.
And Patreon is patreon.com/Crime Divers. You can get ad-free episodes for as little as £1 a month.
And if you like the show, don't forget to subscribe,
rate, review.
See you later. Bye.
Breaking up is hard to do, but when it comes to your wireless carrier, you should have left a while ago. You're over the big three carriers. You deserve better. Xfinity Mobile. Now you can get unlimited with 5G included for just $30 a month on the nation's fastest, most reliable network. So break free from the big three and save with Xfinity Mobile.
Take the savings challenge at xfinitymobile.com/mysavings to see how much you can save when you get Xfinity Mobile and Internet together. Reduced speeds at 20 gigabytes per line. Most reliable based on RootMetrics US report. Results vary, not an endorsement.
At American Public University, we believe higher education is not one size fits all. That's why we offer 200 modern programs that build on your knowledge and fit your schedule. Because we believe universities should adapt to the needs of students, not the other way around. American Public University, within reach, without limits. Online classes start every month. Learn more at AmericanPublicU.com.